Okay, guys, majority people have joined, so let's start. Can you guys see my screen and hear me well?
Yes.
Yes, Surya.
Okay, so I'll
Yes, Surya.
consider this that Murtaza's question has been answered. Hussain, your question, I have kept it with me. Yes, to summarize this, yes, you can access storage account from any virtual network, right? And your storage account does not require a VNet. Is that clear to you guys? That
Yes,
you
Surya.
have been creating storage account, and if it is not clear to you till now, which clearly means thoda sa practice mein lag ho raha hai. So make sure you practice and you come up with questions, guys. Unless you practice, now look at this. हम खुद यहाँ पर प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं आफ्टर प्रैक्टिसिंग फॉर दीज मेनी इयर्स, और इसके बाद भी हम जब प्रैक्टिकल करना चाहते हैं तो एक दो क्वेश्चंस और ये सब आ जाता है. दैट इज द रीजन आई एम टेलिंग यू, व्हेन यू प्रैक्टिस यू विल कम अप विद क्वेश्चंस, and when you come up with questions you will understand it well, and it will be easier for you to explain it to your interviewer. क्या हम ये कर रहे थे, ऐसा हुआ था, वैसा हुआ था, this is what we did, this is how we handled it, this is how we tackled it, and it gives a good feeling कि हाँ genuine feeling देता है this person has really worked, right? Right, guys, any other questions under networking? See, if I would have gone by your silence, I would have considered that everything is clear to everyone. Right? So I want you to do this digging and come up with questions, please. Okay, now if we keep disable, all of you know that this will not be disabled at all. This will not be enabled at all from public network, not at all. No matter you have access key, you don't have access key. If I keep it disabled and give you the access key, will you be able to access it?
No.
No.
Fine. My question was here, by the way, we were here. So let's say now I have given the access to this one. For example, my storage account is here, somewhere here, and then I've given access to this one, to VNet 2 and VNet 3. Now these two will be accessing my storage account. So how will be the access? How this storage account will be accessed? The first method which I'm showing in red color, the second method which I'm showing, it's in black color, which is routing the traffic over the internet. So which one will be applied, the red one or the black one? In our current situation, whatever the situation is there on my storage account, how the traffic will flow?
Black one.
Anyone thinks कि वो internal हो जाएगा?
Can you repeat your question once? I'm sorry, I
Yes,
was
I
unable
also
to.
didn't get the.
I didn't get the concept.
No worries, no worries. This is my storage account. Okay, I have said that this storage account can only be accessed only by VNet 2 and VNet 3. VNet 1, VNet 4, 5, 6, बाकी किसी को access नहीं दिया है. सिर्फ VNet 2 and VNet 3 access कर सकते हैं. Now, how the traffic will flow when virtual machines within VNet, they try to access my storage account? Will it go like this directly to my storage account, or will it go like this over the internet using this black line showing internet, the red line showing internal network?
If the VNet access is directly given, it will go internal. But let's say if the VNet access is routed through internet, then it will go from outside. Like if the
No,
VNet
still not
user,
clear.
a particular user in a particular VNet has the access of the key, which is over
It
the
does see, it doesn't
internet.
matter, guys. It doesn't matter. I'm accessing इसको मैं key से use कर रहा हूँ, directly browser पे use कर रहा हूँ. That doesn't change the routing method. That is just the way of using it. I can use that table in Storage Explorer, or maybe I can use it however I want. I can use that image directly on my browser, or I can use it using my Storage Explorer. That is not changing my route. Method is not changing my route. Tools are not changing my route.
It depends on the. Sure, can I answer?
Yeah,
May I
please.
answer?
Depends
It
on what.
depends on the option we select, like Microsoft Backbone internal network or the internet routing network. While in the
I
storage
thought
account,
it will come in an answer. No, but that doesn't depend on that. I told you Microsoft Backbone network भी internet पे ही होता है. It's nothing like that अंदर होगा वो सब कुछ. Microsoft network भी जो है ना बाहर होगा. बस the difference in when I say internet, this is internet where you are using shared wires, and when I say Microsoft Backbone network, which means you're using Microsoft's dedicated network, but again, it's on internet.
Right. It's like a lease line kind of thing, as you explained.
Yes,
A lease
yes,
line.
yes. But it is again on internet.
Right. It's a dedicated network only for Microsoft communication within Microsoft Azure.
Right. So
or
my
Microsoft
question
networks.
is, how should I don't want this storage account to be accessed over the internet. जरूरत ही नहीं. Why? Because I don't want anyone from outside my portal to access this, right? Who are the audience for the storage account?
Enable public access. So it will go, I believe, the red one, because you have the option which says select from a particular virtual network, enable access to a particular virtual network. The second option in networking. So if we choose that option, then it will be the VNets can communicate directly to the storage account internally. It does not
Sorry,
need to
which
go through
option?
the external. Internal, the red one, the red line.
No, which option do you want me to select here?
Enable from network and IP addresses. The one it's already selected. It's already there. Enable from selected virtual networks.
No, but
and
here it
IP.
will go over the internet. That is what I'm explaining. Here it will go over the internet. What should I do if I don't want this traffic to flow over the internet? Yes, guys, we discussed this, right? Last session. Murtaza, Salman, Sattar Bhai, Suraj,
Private
Hussein.
endpoint.
Yes. Who was that, Afsar?
Salman.
Salman.
Okay, great. Yes, private endpoints, guys. Do not forget private endpoint. बहुत ही ज़्यादा important topic है. Okay, so yes, here you will come and you will disable this one. Let me open the correct portal. You will disable it here. Why? You do not want any public access. Clear? This is done. You have disabled the public access. Now no one from the public will be able to access this. इस पे जो public IP लगा होगा वो हट ही जाएगा literally. No public access. Clear. One thing is achieved. What was my goal here? That it should not have public access because only the internal people want to access it. So one thing has achieved here. Internet access has been disabled completely. No one from the outside will be able to access. Now how to enable this inside access? VNet के अंदर क्या होता है? What did we select under VNet? While
Subnets.
subnets, right? Subnets के अंदर resources होंगे.
Yes.
Right.
Let's say a virtual machine. Virtual machine इसको access करना चाहता है. What is the mode of communication? Like communication के लिए address होता है. What do we call that address?
IP address spaces.
IP address, right?
Address spacing. CIDR के नीचे लग जाएगा.
So here we were using IP addresses for public access also. For internal also we'll have to use IP addresses. But यहाँ पर कौन सा range का IP address होगा? Public या private? On your virtual machines, you will have private IP addresses, right?
Private IP addresses.
Okay.
जो भी CIDR में रहेगा subnetting में.
Right. So now what do you think you have to do? Now you got this much of information कि यार इनका public IP तो इन पे है नहीं और इस पे भी public है नहीं, यहाँ पर private है. So what is the missing piece here? To communicate between VNet 2 and 3 to storage account, what is the missing piece? VNet 2 को अगर बात करनी है storage account से या VNet 3 को करनी है, what do you think is needed?
Peering. VNet peering.
No, there is no VNet on storage account. Whoever answered that, if it was Murtaza.
You said, yeah. You said from 2 to 3, na?
नहीं,
Two
2
VNets.
to
He's
storage
saying that two
account, 3
VNets
to
can
storage
communicate.
account.
Okay, my bad.
It's red line.
Okay. We want both the VNets to communicate with the storage account directly to the storage account.
Private IP here. We have private IP here. So what is the missing piece, do you think, guys, to establish this connection?
Private endpoint, as Salman Bhai
Yes.
said, private endpoint.
Private endpoint is technology. उसके पीछे लगेगा क्या? When you enable private endpoint, होता क्या है? Explain private endpoint.
Private IP ही रहेगा sir, storage का.
Yes.
The storage also would have a
Storage
private
के-
IP.
No, it doesn't have normally, but yes, when you go ahead and select private endpoint, then it will select a VNet वगैरह और उसमें से जो है ये मिलेगा आपको. Now look at this. The moment I click on private endpoint, Let's see. Uh,
I guess so. You are on that Poland one.
I don't even remember which region was that. Let's go to some other storage account. This is in East US. Okay, so this one, let's say that I want to disable for the public use. So very first thing I'll be doing is access key mein nikalu, nahi nikalu, doesn't matter. But let's say that if I do not want this to be used via access key and public network, so I'll while creating or after creation, I'll remove the access key also. Okay, but I want it using internal network, but with access key. So I'll keep the access key and I'll directly go to the network. These two are different things. Okay, but network take precedence. If network access ही नहीं है, तो it doesn't matter access key है किसी के पास या नहीं है, it doesn't matter. Okay, I have disabled it. Public network को मैंने completely disable कर दिया. Okay, yeah. First thing is achieved, that no one from outside will be able to access my storage account. Next thing, it's I want someone to access this. It's someone from internal side. एक endpoint वहां पर already बना हुआ है by the way, but we will still create a new one. Okay, because that storage account didn't have details, maybe that is the reason. So am I creating it for blob table? किसके लिए बनाना है मुझको? Let's say for blob. Now under which virtual network? This virtual network I'm selecting, and DNS ko as of now we'll just skip the DNS part. Yeah. So now what is happening, that out of this one VNet, your storage account is going to get an IP, a private IP. Okay. अब ये आपका storage, normally storage account is not a part of any virtual network because it works over the internet. But because you have enabled your private endpoint, so what has happened here? This has become a part of your virtual network. This one has become a part of your virtual network. यहाँ से उसको एक IP मिल गया है. In this virtual network, any subnet which you select, from this subnet, this storage account has got one IP address. यहाँ से इसको कोई एक IP address मिल गया है, private IP. Now, should there be any issue for this VNet to have connectivity between this subnet, between this storage account? Because now this storage account is a part of this VNet.
No, it should not.
And
No,
now,
it shouldn't.
do you have to do anything extra? If yes, what to make this connection happen?
Now I guess you'll need to do the VNet peering.
VNet pairing, right? Because जो आपने वो allow वगैरह कर रखा, तो वहां पर तो आपने सब कुछ disable कर दिया, right? I hope you remember this. That, let me close this one. Yeah. Whatever you did here initially on the storage account, networking level पे जो आपने किया था, you disabled that. So now all of your VNets, they do not have by default access to your storage account. What did we do initially? See, initially we enabled from virtual networks and we selected both the networks. तब तक ठीक है, दोनों के लिए access था. But what did I do? I disabled it for all. So the moment I disabled it, ये सबका access चला गया, including outside, inside, everything is gone. Now this box is isolated. This box is isolated until I came here and I created one private endpoint. Private endpoint create करने के बाद ये isolation से हटके ये किसी और network का हिस्सा बन गया. Which network? Whichever I select. I could have selected this or I could have selected this one. It doesn't matter, right? Once I do this, then it becomes a part of this virtual network. So any resource between these two or within this virtual network, within any subnet, they will be able to access this storage account. And if you want any other virtual network to access this, then you should do the VNet peering. Clear, guys? And private endpoint, anyone who did not understand?
Got it, Solva.
What about others? Hussein,
So like,
Faisal, Naved?
yeah. So
Yes,
if I
yes, sir.
like to conclude it means ultimately we are not making any connection. We are directly making the storage account a part of a virtual network.
Exactly.
With yeah.
And I have
right.
that in my video diagram also. This is how exactly it happens. See, if this is your storage account, it is always isolated. You're using it over the internet, even if the traffic is coming from outside or even if it is coming within Azure, it will route it like this until you do the private endpoint. When you do the private endpoint, this will be extended to the virtual network, and then virtual network will assign one storage NIC, and the storage NIC will have a private IP. This I've shown in last session also. In fact, I finished my session जहाँ पे मैं storage का NIC बता रहा था, if you remember that. If not, go back and check last sessions, last video. वहां पर मैंने ये भी बताया कि आपको private NIC दिख जाता है, उसके ऊपर एक private IP भी दिख जाता है. Do you guys remember that? I'll show it to you again. No worries. But it is there. Definitely it is there. I remember that very well. So this is the private NIC of my storage account. Okay. तो इस storage account का this is the NIC. ये कौन से virtual network का हिस्सा है, कौन से subnet का हिस्सा है, that you can see. This is the interface card of your storage account. It's similar to what you have in your virtual machine. NIC होता है, right? वो चाहे आप virtual machine पे लगाओ, चाहे storage account पे लगाओ. And this is the IP address of your storage account. Now, instead of name, you can access your storage account using IP also, provided you have sufficient access. Clear to everyone?
Yes.
Okay. So the VNet, this VNet has assigned a private IP to the storage account, right?
Yes.
The one that we see right now. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So from the VNet, it's being it's assigning or delegating the IP to the storage account
Right.
for communication.
Right. Okay. Now, guys,
and you said we can access the. Sorry, I'm sorry.
tell me.
You said we can access the through the IP directly if we
Yes,
have
you can.
sufficient access.
Yes.
So we don't need the shared access key or access key kinds or the shared access signature. Sorry. Through the IP, we can directly access
Yeah,
the storage account.
if it is freely available for everyone, where you can use it using a URL, you can use it using your IP also. SaaS वगैरह कब लगता है when you're restricting the access, right? Like image
Yes.
which I uploaded and I shared the link with you. Did you guys needed anything else apart from the link? No shared access, nothing, right? Similarly, उस तरह के जो resources आपको share करना है, you can do that over the IP also. Okay, one थोड़ा सा tricky question, guys, before I move ahead. This was asked in one of the interviews, but very rare. I'm repeating, not even sure if this will be repeated or not, but even I want to see your understanding. Hence, I'm spending 5 minutes on this one. Let's say this is my VNet. This is my VNet, VNet 1. Only one VNet I have, okay? These are my subnets. I'll just take 2 subnet, for example, or 3 subnets. And then within the subnet, I have virtual machines. Here it is. Now I have done some, here I have some storage account somewhere here, and I have done the private endpoint I have applied on this. So after the private endpoint was applied, it also got a NIC from this subnet. Ultimately subnet से ही मिलता है, right? Though we say it a VNet, but VNet में भी कोई ना कोई subnet होता है. I hope all of you know that very well. Directly VNet पे कोई IP assign नहीं होता है, right?
Yes,
Right. Yes. Yes, sir.
So don't get confused now when I'm saying subnet. You'll say यार पहले आपने बोला कि VNet से apply हो रहा है. VNet पे directly कुछ भी नहीं apply होता. VNet में definitely one subnet has to be there. Default subnet कुछ नहीं तो default subnet तो होता ही है. Okay. So this is how it is. Now my question is, can this machine ping to each other?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. They are within the same subnet.
Can these machines ping to each other?
Yes.
Yes.
Can this machine ping to each other? Everything, right?
Yes.
So on
Yes.
similar basis,
Yes.
can this storage account ping to each other?
Yes.
This storage account from here, can I access this from here? Provided you have sufficient access on storage level. Not talking about the storage level का access पूरा है, समझ लो आपने, मैंने पूरा free छोड़ रखा है, that anyone who has a link can access it. So can all of these communicate with each other? Is it a
Yes.
right
Provided we have
statement?
given access, yeah. If we've given access to
Yeah,
the
I have
NIC,
given.
the
Let's
storage account
not
can be
debate on that.
right.
I've given the complete access.
Yeah.
It's completely
Hmm.
free, publicly
Yeah,
free.
then we
Okay.
can. Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Now my
absolutely.
question is, within this also, I do not want subnet one resources to access my storage account, or for matter anything. I do not want subnet one. I don't want subnet one to connect with my uh, subnet 2 also. I do not want this connection, and I do not want this connection also. I want to make subnet 1 isolated. These two are talking to each other, it's okay. These two are talking to each other, it's okay. These two are talking to each other, that's completely fine. I do not want subnet 1 to talk to default subnet, and I made it easier for you that I don't want it to talk to subnet 2 also. How can you achieve that? I'm not even asking steps, nothing. Just want to understand your understanding that which service will I be using here to achieve this. Perfect.
NSG.
Right. So next time if someone, I just explained it ताकि आप लोगों के लिए easier हो, उसमें virtual machines वगैरह नहीं था, simple question आएगा कि endpoint में भी जो है I do not want this machine should not talk to this one. So you can apply NSG at NIC level यहाँ पर, और इसके ट्रैफिक को भी ब्लॉक कर सकते हो. And if you want the complete block कि सबनेट सबनेट से बातें नहीं करना चाहिए, you apply NSG at subnet level. Will you be able to apply NSG to this one, to a storage account which has a private endpoint?
Yeah, I got to see the option there.
Yes, obviously you can.
It-
Why? Where do we apply NSG? What is the
On
scope of
NIC.
NSG? And
NIC or
NIC.
subnet.
सबनेट. तो
NIC
सबनेट पे
और
तो
subnet.
आप लगा सकते हो by default, right? वर्चुअल मशीन पे निक होता है, आप वहां पर भी लगा सकते हो. And now why am I saying you can apply it on a storage account also? Because the moment you applied private endpoint, what happened? It got a NIC assigned to it. That's what we looked at. This is a NIC which got assigned to your storage account. So if you have a NIC, you can obviously assign an NSG. And if you can assign NSG, you can control whatever you want to. Clear?
Yes.
Well,
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
well,
Okay, let's quickly go back to our storage account and finish the other topics. Yeah, one more thing in under networking that is very important. Okay, one thing now, whenever I shared some link with you or a blob or container, या किसी भी चीज का a file, you saw, look at the name. Okay, let me upload something if it is not there already. If it is something is there, it's okay. Okay, let's create a storage account. So this is my container. Under container, I'll have a file. Not sure why that is happening, guys. I'll have to check my account with whom I've logged in. Let's see.
Is the key access enabled or disabled?
It doesn't matter. I'm logged into portal directly.
Yeah, but still, I think you can see that error when your key access is not enabled.
No, when you are doing it or using portal, it should not matter. Let's
No,
see.
I'm seeing actually this.
Okay, on the portal also.
Error. Yeah.
But this one, I think we have enabled the key access, right? Let's see. Yeah, here it is. Or is it disabled?
It is disabled.
Which one has a
I
say?
think.
What? Let's see. One of the storage accounts should have it enabled. Because here we are not even discussing that. I want to show it to something else to you. Here it is. It could be because of key access also. Yeah. So now, okay, whatever this file is, I'm not even sure what it is. Let me see first. Yeah, it's a normal file. Okay, I'm sharing it with you. Okay. Are you guys able to access this?
Yes.
Okay, and what URL do you see? It's a picture, right? It's an image. And
Yes,
what
Rolbhai.
URL do you see?
A picture of a tree.
URL.
Clouds,
Can you read the
mountain.
URL?
URL. GRG rs.blob
.blob, .core, .windows, net, right?
.net,
New
.net,
container,
yeah.
and then
Right.
images.
Image.
Now
Right.
just imagine instead of this image, I have my index file, which can lead to my complete website. Let's say my class का website, पूरी की पूरी class का website उस index file पे है. I'm just sharing it a link with you. But have you ever seen to any smallest से छोटा business ऐसा URL कभी देखा है क्या आप लोगों ने? My business name is UT-Kloud, and if I give you a URL like this, what's gonna happen? I mean, mindset business के लिए mindset कैसा होता है? I mean, looking at this, will you ever even remember this? Will you be able to remember this? And even
No.
if you remember this,
No.
will you be
No.
able to relate it with my business?
No.
Just
No.
imagine Amazon का इस तरह से आपको कोई नाम दे रहा है, right?
The
So
URL
it's
name,
हाँ, it's a
precisely.
human
URL name is
tendency.
what
जो business name है उससे आप हमेशा आपका जो है domain name को sync करके रखना चाहते हो ताकि लोग उसको connect कर पाए. Even if it is an application, let's say it's your internal application PeopleSoft, और उसका इस तरह से कोई भद्दा सा URL होगा, कितनी बार आप याद रखोगे, right? Not possible. So how to do that? How
Custom
to
domain.
get, yes, how to get your URL here? Let's say you want to access your website, you want to host your website here, right? Somewhere here, your website on this container. यहाँ पर ये सब करना है आपको. But you want to give your name, your website's name. अब तक ये जो हो रहा है ना, इस तरह से कोई अजीब सा नाम आ रहा है, be it on your storage account या container कहीं पर भी हो. So again, it is a part of the networking. We saw these two. The third option is custom domain. Custom domain is nothing, it's very simple thing. यहाँ पर आपको अपना custom domain ये करना है, whatever the domain you own. Example, I own this domain, okay? So I will just save it here. Okay. Obviously, it's gonna fail now because I do not have DNS records and nothing. And for this, I'll have to log into my domain seller also, जहां से मैंने खरीदा. It could be Big Rock, it could be GoDaddy. I'll have to go there. I have to make some changes there. Under the custom domain, I'll have to add DNS records और एक उसका लंबा process है, which we are gonna do. I have already told you. Active Directory वाले session में हम custom domain करेंगे. So custom domain, it's similar no matter where you go. So I will be showing it to you only once, not here. I'll be showing it to you in Active Directory वाला session. That we are going to do after migration because custom domain बिल्कुल भी नहीं पूछा जाता है, but you should know. That is the reason I'm telling you. कि जो आप वेबसाइट का नाम वगैरह देखते हो, how do you apply that? कि आपके स्टोरेज अकाउंट पे आपका वेबसाइट का नाम दिखना चाहिए. So this is how you use it. Custom domain is the name of the option. Is it clear, guys? What is
Yes.
custom domain? Let me show it to you in
Yes.
Azure Active Directory कि वो कैसे काम में आता है. For example, now all of you can see your subscription, and if you create a user, let's say that Faisal or Sattar or anyone has their account, and when they create a user का नाम कैसे दिखता है? वो उनका Gmail एड्रेस या ईमेल जिससे उन्होंने अकाउंट बनाया है .onmicrosoft.com वगैरह, right? And when I create a user, how does it look? Look at this. It gives me my company's name. Otherwise, it looks something like this. See, if I do not have a custom domain, it will look like this. Suhail Khan to live.mail.onmicrosoft.com, right? For practice, it's okay. But imagine this is your company and they're giving you this huge domain. It's not user friendly. It doesn't look good. It's not going to give good impression on their clients, vendors, nowhere. So custom domain is needed for that. So once I have the custom domain register, I can create a user using my domain. Clear hai? So why do we require custom domain? Here also website वाले केस में आपकी website access करने के लिए किसी भी तरह का. Is it clear, guys, to everyone what is custom domain? Yes, guys. Yes, no, maybe. Any doubt on custom domain? How to add the custom domain? Bada practical hai. We are going to do that. You come here, you add a custom domain, for example. Now this is already added. So let's say that if I had this, I do not have this, maybe someone else has it. Okay. See, now I'll get this records. I have to go to, otherwise अगर ये option नहीं होता ना verify का, तो मैं अपने इसमें google.com add कर लूंगा. I will add deloitte.com to my personal account, right? So this option has to be there. Now I have got these codes from Azure. What do I have to do now? From wherever I have purchased this domain, in case I have purchased now UT-Kloud.com, I do not have this domain, so I cannot complete this. But if I had this by chance, I will have to log into that portal. If it is GoDaddy or Big Rock or anything, there I will have to go and add some records like text records and MX records. These two records I will have to add. I'll have to go to text record. I will have to add one text record where the name would be at, destination point will be this, TTL would be this. I'll have to add MX record, तो जहाँ पे category होगा at, destination name होगा ये, TTL होगा ये, priority होगा ये. This both of this I'll have to add, and then I have to click on verify, and then it takes 72 hours, up to 72 hours. See, up to 72 hours it takes, and then it will be verified. Once it is verified, it will appear under your custom domain and it will look like with a green check, and then you will have an option to use that. See, now this is unverified, I cannot use it. These are verified because these are my domain. This UT-Kloud I had, I went there and I did that. This is the complete practical, okay, which I'm gonna show you. एक मैं domain purchase कर लूंगा, and I would suggest you guys you also purchase कोई भी सादा सा domain first year में आपको 150 rupees में भी मिल जाएगा. Just make it your own name का domain, कुछ भी बना लो आप लोग. But purchase one domain so you'll get the full practical का experience. But in live environment, I have been telling you this several times that you are not the Superman of your team. You don't do everything, right? आपकी कंपनी का डोमेन, फॉर एग्जांपल इफ यू आर वर्किंग फॉर साइबेज, यू आर वर्किंग फॉर IBM, डू यू थिंक यू हैव दैट अथॉरिटी टू बाय दैट डोमेन? GoDaddy से खरीदना है, 10 साल के लिए लेना है, 1 साल के लिए लेना है, पेमेंट कैसे करना है? डू यू थिंक यू वुड डू दैट एज एन Azure एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर? ये आपके क्लाइंट का भी
No.
डोमेन, ये आपके क्लाइंट का भी डोमेन, जिस क्लाइंट के लिए काम कर रहे हो, राइट? डोमेन वगैरह वो सब परचेस कर चुके होगे, उनका एक अपना टीम होगा उस चीज के लिए. योर जॉब वुड बी सिंपली टू कम हियर, ask them, "Bhai, what is your domain name?" They will tell you their domain name. You come here, you take this, copy this, and send it to them over the email with these instructions. And here, share this settings via email. You can simply share it. Just click it. वो configure होता है. You share it to the client. कि उनका जो भी relevant team है जो domain में deal कर रहा है, they will make sure it is happening over there. And then you will come and see that it is verified. So आपके लेवल पे आपको पोर्टल में बस इतना ही करना. You have to come to custom domain, add custom domain, and add the name and share these details. So maximum interview में what you could say, you could talk about text records. That okay, to add custom domain, we'll have to share the text record with the team, and they will add these text record to the domain provider. It could be GoDaddy, Big Rock, but there are multiple. I just know a few these few names. So and these are famous, so I'm taking these names multiple times. एक किसी कहीं से भी हो सकता है. Even Microsoft Sales domain, Google Sales domain, जहां से भी आपने परचेज कर रखा है, their team will know. And if they don't know how to add these records, it's not your concern. Even if you don't know, it's okay. It's not a flaw in you. It's just not your job. If they don't know it, simply they will call to GoDaddy, and their technical team will help them to get these records added. Right? So even if we don't do the practical, आप लोगों का काम यहाँ से still हो रहा है. But still, I would urge to purchase a domain. Don't do it now. We'll do it after migration and everything, because these are some extra steps. Interview में पूछते भी नहीं है, ज़्यादा नहीं है, but just for your knowledge. Right? Don't buy it now. We'll buy it maybe after 15 or 20 days, 2-4 sessions के बाद, and then we'll do a custom domain. So everyone clear with custom domain? And the process is same.
Yes.
No matter where you do it here, you do it for storage. Adding custom domain process is same. Yes, guys. Any other questions anyone has? The networking section
No.
gets completed here. CDN, did I explain CDN by the way? Yes. I think we did, right? CDN, it's your content delivery network. What is it? This is the feature which mostly are being used by your Amazon and Netflix. Let's say that you have a server here, somewhere here in US, and but you have your spectators all over the world. So someone sitting in India, let's say now a user sitting in India, if this user wants to access a movie and if it is streaming over the internet from US to here, do you think the experience would be good? Obviously there will be lagging, thoda slowness वगैरह होगा. So what it does, what Azure does, every cloud provider has this feature. We are talking about Azure. Azure calls it CDN. What Azure will do कि इसका एक छोटा सा replica जो है ना, पूरा का पूरा कॉपी भी बना सकता है, replica भी. How Azure does it, we don't know. ये हर रीजन में, हर 2-4 रीजन में, मतलब नियर बाय रीजन में इसको स्प्लिट करके रख देगा. And then Azure will make sure that this user gets a good experience. Okay, whenever this user is requesting something, so he gets connected to the nearest point, whichever is the nearest and the faster to this user. Now let's say that there is a user here. There's a user here. So that this user will access from here. There's a user here. This user will access from here. ऐसा कभी नहीं होगा कि ये user यहाँ जा रहा है, यहाँ का user यहाँ पर आ रहा है. This is never going to happen. And you don't have to configure much into this. You simply have to create some CDN profile बनाना है आपको. Pricing देखना है. Okay. Now there are some pricing tiers, whether you're using Microsoft, Standard, Verizon, Akamai, and these are the telecom providers over there. ठीक है, कौन सा वाला आप प्राइसिंग टियर लेते हो. You just have to give a name here and you simply have to create it. Your users, they don't have to know anything about it. They are gonna ultimately they're gonna access the same link which you have provided them of the storage account. Or if you're using custom account, custom domain, तो आपका जो भी domain होगा वो उसी को access कर रहे हैं. This everything happens at the back end. Azure will do it. तो ये नहीं है कि इस tier का नाम customer को याद रखना पड़ेगा और customer को connect होना है तो they will have to do it. No, you're using Azure content delivery service, network service, so it is Azure's job to do this, handle it at the back end. ठीक है, see migrate custom domain to CDN. यहाँ पर custom domain you can add wherever you want. So once this is done, this is how it's gonna act. The nearest user will be connected to the nearest point. दो चार points हैं उसके which you guys can see later, or if it gets created I'll show it to you here कि कहाँ कहाँ पे Azure रखता है. Now which is nearest, how it gets connected, it's in the back end. It is a PaaS service, we don't have to worry about it. I mean you don't have to do anything कि कोई VNet add करना है, कोई subnet add करना है, nothing. ये create कर दिया, that's all you have to do. Clear guys, what is CDN? CDN का जो है ना definition जरूर पढ़ लेना. And how it works, मतलब उसका explanation जो है वो पढ़ लो. Technical questions उस पे ज्यादा नहीं होने वाले हैं. You should know what is CDN. You should know कि उसका काम क्या होता है. Clear anyone? Anyone has any doubt in CDN?
No.
Private network, endpoint, private endpoint, custom domain.
No, sir.
Okay. Less than a minute is left, guys. Let's take a break of 5 minutes so recordings will get saved. And I'll see you in at 15:25, and then we are going to start backup and replication. I don't think so we'll be able to do practical today, but I'll explain the theory. Theory is most important. Theory समझ में आ जाएगी ना, practical आप लोगों को बहुत वैसे ही समझ में आ जाएगा. Focus on theory. ज़्यादा questions भी theory में से आने वाले हैं when it comes to storage and replication.